What is Pro Football Focus thinking? They came out with a list of the ceilings and floors of the second-year quarterbacks, and they made an outlandish comparison to this guy right here, Drake Maye. So before on this show we break it all down, what is the ceiling and the floor of Drake Maye? I don't care what they have to say because I know what Drake Maye's ceiling is. So if you don't care what Pro Football Focus has to say, show the world, show me that it does not matter, and hit that thumbs up icon and go and like this video if you don't care what they have to say. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper, and I'll just give you guys a fair warning. There's probably going to be a rant coming because Pro Football Focus is just absolutely disrespecting the hell out of our second-year quarterback, Drake Maye. They gave a ceiling and the floor of Maye. And now I'll read you this quote before we get into what his ceiling and what his floor is. And if you saw the mailbag, you know what it is. But here's what John Kosko had to say about Drake Maye. And he said he showed off an incredible arm in college. He had 80 big-time throws in 2 seasons and the ability to protect the ball. 1.7 turnover-worthy throw. With the Pats, though, he was with one of the worst supporting casts around, and so his projections moving forward shouldn't change based on his performance in 2024. So that's really like, yeah, all right, he looks good. We're not going to knock him for what happened in 2024, and he still had a decent year, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but with some flashing athleticism and playmaking abilities, Maye wasn't able to showcase his big arm consistently because you didn't have a deep threat. His notched just 14 big-time throws and 16 turnover-worthy plays, making his rookie season similar to Daniel Jones and the PFF grades and efficiency. And when it comes to PFF grades, I mean, you got to look at what the team around it. This is what they had. Here's his ceiling. Trevor Lawrence. Like, what? He's already better than Trevor Lawrence. T-Law has been terrible. And the floor, I'm not going to really say this is like a bad comparison because, let's be honest, a floor is like, yeah, that is like, it's the worst case scenario. But we already know that Daniel Jones is bad. We know that Drake Maye is better than Daniel Jones. So the real ceiling to me just doesn't make any sort of sense whatsoever. Like, what did that John Kosko think when he was looking? Be like, oh yeah, the ceiling for this guy could be Trevor Lawrence, a guy that's played 4 years in the NFL and in his rookie year sucked. He had a good 2022, a good 2023, and then 2024 he went back and looked like, hey, is this guy really going to be it? Is he going to take that next step to become that potential quarterback that we saw back at Clemson to be the number 1 overall pick? And they're saying, oh, this is going to be the next Peyton Manning. Trevor Lawrence has not proven that whatsoever. And Drake Maye has shown a lot more potential than what Trevor Lawrence did. And this is what I first thought of, like going back to last year. The offense for the Patriots was one of the worst offenses that we have ever seen. It was horrid. Your wide receivers were terrible. Your offensive line was one of the worst. And Drake Maye only played 13 games. But when he was in those 13 games, you remember the first game he hopped in, came in late, and got absolutely leveled while he was driving down the field. Look at these all offensive line stats. Your pass block win rate was 31st in the NFL. Your run block was 32nd in the NFL. Your pressure rate was basically 40%. Half the time Drake Maye was dropping back, a bunch of people trying to sack him. 31st in the NFL. And then the sack rate was one of the worst in the NFL. Like, this offensive line was terrible. And I don't care who you are. Your offensive line, if it's not good, you're not going to be good because you need time to throw the football. If the defensive lineman or the edge rusher is getting to the quarterback within 2 seconds, how are you ever going to be good? But with Drake Maye, he still threw 15 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions in 13 games. So with this upcoming season, you can see the offensive line from 2024 on the left and the offensive line on 2025 on the right. Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, Ben Brown, Mike Owenu, and Demontre Jacobs, they're all gone. Every single one of them. This is a revamped. And you can see their PFF grades in parentheses. They're all better, except for Cole Strange. And that was the one knock that we've talked about on this channel, how left guard is what needs to be improved the most. So you improve the offensive line. Now Drake Maye can sit back in the pocket a little more and also use his legs to his advantage. That's something Trevor Lawrence can't do. And you also signed Stephon Diggs. You drafted Kyle Williams. Last year, your best wide receivers were Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne. Like, this is the 2024 receiving stats. You could see they were 28th in the NFL in receptions, last in the NFL in yards, and 28 in touchdowns. How is Drake Maye supposed to succeed when you have no one available next to him? Like, this year, you have Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams, Demario Douglas. You get Matt Collins as a deep threat for him. And then Kayshon Boutte, now that he's not going to be the second guy on your depth chart, he could obviously succeed. And this is just, the list keeps going on and on and on, how Drake Maye just wasn't set up for success in his first year. And that's why when I first saw that, like, back last year, I didn't want him to play because this team was terrible, your coaching staff was terrible, your offensive line was terrible, and you saw it with Jacoby Brissett. Also, Alex Van Pelt was just terrible. He couldn't call play at all. You run the ball, yeah, Ramondre Stevenson is going to fumble. Can't set up the play action because you have a fumbling problem, so everybody's just like, all right, they're not running the ball. There's a reason why you got rid of AVP after 1 year and brought in Josh McDaniels, because he was terrible. So you revamp this whole entire team. You revamp this whole entire offense. Drake Maye has the ability to succeed. So I expect him to have a way better 2025 than 2024, and we saw the potential. As a rookie, you're throwing 15 touchdowns in 13 games, and you're also having a pretty good, you're also rushing for a lot of yards. Yeah, wait till he plays 17 this upcoming season. The next one, just Trevor Lawrence is an awful, awful, awful comparison. Like, Trevor Lawrence is smaller than Drake Maye, or no, he's taller than Drake Maye, but he weighs less than Drake Maye. He's 6'6". Drake Maye is only 6'4". Trevor Lawrence also doesn't run the ball. He can't make moves out of his legs. And if you look at the 2024 stats, Drake Maye, yeah, Trevor Lawrence only played 10 games. Drake Maye played 13, but that's still oddly similar. Maye had a better completion percentage. Maye had more yards. Maye had more touchdowns. And yeah, less interceptions, but 10 games to 13, yeah, that's where you can get the discrepancy. But still, quarterback rating and completion percentage, better for Drake Maye. So you compare Drake Maye's ceiling to Trevor Lawrence, you're telling me that Drake Maye has already hit his ceiling. That's what I'm getting out of, okay, well, the best he can be is Trevor Lawrence. Also, like, it just doesn't, this really, really, really doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And when you compare the two quarterbacks in the way they play football, Trevor Lawrence just can't run the ball. Drake Maye, you see him bootleg. You could see him make plays with his legs and drop back into coverage, see there's no one open, and go and take off for running. Trevor Lawrence does not do that, and he's never done that in his career. This is his career rushing yards. 119, yeah, only 10 games played. But in these other three, less than 400 yards, 291 in 2022, 17 games played. That's less than 300. And when you look at Drake Maye in his first career season, 421 yards rushing. So how can you compare the two quarterbacks and say, like, oh yeah, his ceiling, when they don't play any way, shape, or form the same? Drake Maye has a better arm. He has a bigger cannon. He is stronger than Trevor Lawrence. He can run the ball, unlike Trevor Lawrence. Like, these two quarterbacks could not be any more different than each other. Their playing styles are way different. Trevor Lawrence is a prototypical pocket passer. He doesn't take off running. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And when you look at Drake Maye's stat projections for 2025 from ESPN's Fantasy Football, and yeah, you could say, oh, it's fantasy football, Brett, but they're actually really similar. 66.6 completion percentage, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 3,600 yards, and 474 rushing yards. In Trevor Lawrence's best season, he threw for around 23 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. That's his best season. And yeah, 4,000 yards, but you can see he doesn't run the ball, so he's going to pass the ball a lot more. If Drake Maye is doing that in his second year, imagine what Drake Maye is going to be doing in his fifth year, in his sixth year, once he gets that NFL just experience and coaching ability in his game. He's going to excel way more than Trevor Lawrence. I thought T-Law was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL coming out of Clemson back in 2021. Clearly, he hasn't shown it. So I say, right now, the potential for Drake Maye has been a lot better. You could see that he could have a better career. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think? Who's going to have the better career? Drake Maye or Trevor Lawrence? Type DM for Drake Maye, type TL for T-Law. Now I'll break down what we have about his floor, and that's Daniel Jones. But before that, you can get your Patriots polo today, the 4th, right around the corner. And you can get your polos. Usually everybody's wearing a polo at the cookout. Or if you want to go golfing, well, you can get yours today, a Nike polo, a nice one. It's got that little mesh material, that dry fit. Get yours today, chatsports.com/patspolo, $28.99, 54% off, people. Get yours today. We'll have that in the comments and description of today's video. One more time, chatsports.com/patspolo. Support the show and support the New England Patriots. Last one. I'm going to compare it, and I'm going to say Jones as the floor isn't necessarily awful. That's your worst case scenario. And we have to talk about a worst case scenario because it's in the second year. You could end up and not being the best player that you could be. And I'll say this. Drake Maye is a lot better than Daniel Jones. But when you look at Daniel Jones' 2022 year, and that's when he took them to the playoffs. That's when it was his best career. His completion percentage was 67.2. He threw for 3,200 yards. He did not turn the ball over. 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And that 708 at the bottom, that's his rushing yards. Daniel Jones and Drake Maye are similar in a fact that they can make plays with their legs. They're also kind of the same prototypical size. That's a lot different than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones are further apart than anybody. Drake Maye, though, is better than Daniel Jones. He can throw the ball better. He can read a defense better. He can escape the pocket a lot more because we saw with that offensive line how bad it was last year. I just think that if Drake Maye was terrible, which is obviously not in the question for me, you had to put a floor. And I would say that is probably the most comparable just because, Daniel Jones had a good year, but he's not the best quarterback. Now, Maye's arm is just way, way better than Daniel Jones. I could see Drake Maye. You didn't see it much last year because you didn't really have a deep threat. But now when you have Matt Collins and you have Josh McDaniels on, you can fling that thing way far down the field. I think Drake Maye is going to have an amazing 2025. And the floor is Daniel Jones. My ceiling, and I've talked about this many times, and this is why I kind of want to implement RPOs, and specifically I want to implement the tush push because there's a guy that's in your division that does the same thing, and it's Josh Allen, and I see similar game in both of these guys. So the best case scenario in my eyes is the ceiling. I'm not saying that Drake Maye is going to be Josh Allen, but I see him being the ceiling is your MVP of the 2024 season. I don't see him being Trevor Lawrence or Daniel Jones. So I don't know what the hell PFF is saying. And a lot of people, I'm not the only person that's ranting about your ceilings and your floors. Bo Nix's ceiling is Drew Brees and the floor is Mac Jones. J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't played an NFL game in his life, his ceiling is Joe Burrow, and his floor is a guy that's made it to the playoffs, and Sam Darnold. And then Michael Penix Jr., Justin Herbert, Jameis Winston. Drake Maye is very similar to Justin Herbert, too. Jaden Daniels, Lamar, Kyler Murray, and then Caleb Williams. They didn't even name a floor. They just said bust. Just look at that list. What is PFF thinking, man? I really just don't. I really don't get it. I just don't. It makes no sense to me. And I don't care what they say, but I wanted to come and talk about this because it's hilarious to me and it doesn't make any sort of sense. So once again, if you don't care what Pro Football Focus says, if you say, throw it away, these PFF grades don't matter, watch the actual games, go ahead, hit that thumbs up icon. And while you're doing that too, while you're down there and hitting that thumbs up icon, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 27,000 subs.